16:41 through 50. But on the morrow all the congregation of the children of Israel murmured against Moses and Aaron, saying, "You have killed the people of the Lord." Now here's the thing. If these people were truly of the Lord, then they wouldn't have been killed, because they would have been falling in line with Moses, who God appointed to be in charge of Israel. They were killed because they defied what the Lord wanted and tried to go their own way. So at the time of them dying, they were not of the Lord. Moses and Aaron were of the Lord, and these people right here were spared. Maybe because at the last minute they decided not to go with Korah. But either way, they were spared. Now these people are blaming Moses and Aaron for Korah, the sons of Korah, being judged when they were already warned in advance. Sometimes people are going to point the finger at us because we're Christians, and they can point the blame at us because we live a different way than they do, and it's easier for them to hate us than for them to change and hate their ways. So these people would never accept blame themselves. If they would have accepted themselves for what they were, then they would have had the humility and been willing to see their own faults and come to the Lord in repentance. But if they don't see what they're doing, there's no repentance there. These people didn't have a repentant heart, so they didn't see what they were doing wrong, so they put the blame on Moses. And it came to pass, when the congregation was gathered against Moses and Aaron, that they looked towards the tabernacle of the congregation, and behold, the cloud covered it, and the glory of the Lord appeared. Now, in Exodus, we see the pillar by day and a cloud by night. So this cloud represents God's presence. You know, it's interesting that God was the one that put Moses and Aaron in charge. If these people were smart enough to know, okay, we need to blame Moses and Aaron, we don't need to blame God who put them in charge for killing. They're smart enough to know, okay, because their whole problem, the sons of Korah's whole problem, was they did not respect Moses and Aaron being put in place. So, of course, it comes back to Moses and Aaron's in charge, and we don't like it. That was the whole problem to begin with. So, in this cloud representing God is going to deal with these people, because if they ain't dealt with, there's going to be a whole problem, a whole division between the groups. Sometimes God just removes the problem and lets them go their own way. Of course, at the time, the numbers may be smaller. You can see at the end of the chapter how many people get killed. But the remaining people were united for Moses and Aaron. They're united for God's purpose. Anybody who ain't for God's purpose, and anybody who ain't willing to follow the Lord, when they come into the congregation, they don't need to be here. It's better off the Lord take them somewhere else than for them to prevent us from doing what we're supposed to be doing. That's what God does with these people. They're just around here willing to put them plain and follow the Lord's leadership through Moses. And Moses and Aaron came before the tabernacle of the congregation. And they did this. We see how Moses is a caring individual. There was a time where God was like, okay, these people ain't wanting to follow me. You come with me, Moses. We'll find a different set of people. And Moses was like, just give them another chance, Lord. So we see how in this story, how Moses and Aaron actually cared for the people in spite. And it shows that Jesus' mercy through us. He's kind of represented, symbolic for Jesus here. How Jesus goes before the Father to say, just give them another try. Just don't give up on them. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, get up from among this congregation, that I may consume them as in a moment. And they fell upon their faces. This shows a humility to the Lord. This is something the sons of Korah didn't have. They didn't have submission to the Lord. This is why Moses and Aaron were put in charge. Because they ultimately didn't do what they wanted to. They followed the guidance and leadership of the Lord. If sons of Korah would have been put in charge, they wouldn't have had the ability to listen to the word of the Lord. And by Moses and Aaron hearing the word of the Lord shows that God put them in charge, because God wasn't talking to any of the sons of Korah. And Moses said to Aaron, "Take a censer and put fire therein from the altar, and put on incense, and go quickly unto the congregation, and make an atonement for them, for there is wrath gone out of the Lord. From the Lord, this plague is begun." Now the reason Moses sent Aaron is because it's Aaron God called to be a priest, not Moses. So by doing this, even though the Lord said something, Moses is going through the right means to try to have grace on these people. The only problem is these people weren't willing to follow the Lord. So while the grace was there, they wouldn't have been willing to accept it. But Moses knows that God put Aaron to do the priest work. Moses does not try to go out there with this censer himself. It shows that even in spite of Moses caring for his people, he cares for God's instructions more. He ain't willing to go outside what God commanded to help these people. He knows he can help these people by Aaron doing what God allowed Aaron to do. But beyond doing that, Moses knew ultimately there's nothing he could do. And Moses, by doing it in this manner, knew that if the Lord was going to see anything from it, it was going to be this. It was going to be following in obedience. And Aaron took as Moses commanded, and ran into the midst of the congregation, and beheld the plague was begun among the people. And he put on incense, and made an atonement for the people. You know, Jesus died for us. He made the atonement for us. That doesn't mean everybody's going to receive it. We see that here with the people. Aaron made an atonement for the people. But the people, and God would have received it, because God receives any sacrifice to Him. But if the people didn't accept their wrong, didn't have repentance, the people couldn't have been atoned for. To be atoned for, you have to come in humility. These people were representing pride and not repentant hearts. And he stood between the dead and the living, and the plague was stopped. Like verse 40. And Moses took, as Aaron commanded, ran in the midst, and the plague. So he had to leave, because the plague was going to catch up to him. So he goes back to Moses after he does this. And he was out there, the plague was killing people. They was living people. These people probably were willing to recognize this ain't right. We need to submit to the Lord. Those were the ones that remained alive. Those that were dying were the ones that were like, didn't accept any fault of their own. They were still saying, look at what Moses and Aaron's causing us to do now. These people are falling left and right over dead because of them. The people that were alive were the ones, okay, God is clearly with Moses and Aaron. We need to be too, because we need to follow the Lord. Now those who died in the plague were 14,700, besides those who had died about the matter of Korah. So, besides those that died with the Korah, these got killed. God was, at this point in time, I don't think any division, all the numbers were still practically here from when they left Egypt. God was kind of rooting out the people that didn't want to be there, those that would have caused problems, those that would have avoided them from falling, those that would have most likely allowed them to follow some other thing instead of the Lord while they were there. Someone that would have caused major division to where they just gave up on Him. It's a big number, but those who truly follow the Lord are always the minority. And Aaron returned to Moses to the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, and the plague was stopped. You know, judgment happens for a while, but one day the judgment will be in, and those who truly serve the Lord will be the only ones in His presence. It's much better to be on His side than to be against Him doing their own thing. It's so much better to follow Him who knows everything than to follow our ways when we really know nothing.